Hello everybody, this is Kyrix, and I've been doing so much stuff on Dailymotion, I've all but abandoned my channel on YouTube, and I figured, you know what, it's time to do something special for YouTube. This is going to be something that's only going to be up on my YouTube channel, unless it gets taken down, in which case, hello Dailymotion, but I was inspired by seeing Lantern Joe post a top 5 favorite Pokemon, and I figured, you know what, let me do a top 5 of my own. But everyone's done, oh, these are my favorite Pokemon for this reason, or this reason, or this reason. These are not my top favorite Pokemon of all time. It's not like, oh, well, this is the Pokemon I use all the time now, etc. These are the top 5 special Pokemon. Every single one of these Pokemon is not a species, but an individual who has had a major impact on how I play this game. They're going to go in sequential order, but not order of importance, because I just adore all of these Pokemon. But I'm going to go through the list and show them off to you. Well, I'm going to show off standard pictures, because I don't really have evidence of any, but, well, one of them really. But I'm going to tell you the background of each one, and the story of each one, and what they mean to me, and we'll have a nice little moment together. So, without further ado, my Charizard, Sparky. I don't care that Sparky's more of an electric name. That's what I named him. Way back. I don't even know what year. I was in 9th grade. Pokemon had just come out. Pokemon was so new that I didn't even know what it was yet. Because the commercials back then didn't really tell you. It just shows a bunch of strange creatures, many of which look like cats, like Mewtwo and Snorlax, for example. And they just get sucked in a vacuum cleaner. Pokemon, gotta catch them all. And that's all you saw. You never got to see really gameplay or anything else. That was the picture, and I told my mom for Christmas, I want this. I want this game. And of course, I needed a Game Boy, so she went to a pawn shop and got me a Game Boy. Back then, Game Boys were this friggin' 7-pound brick of a machine that you held in your hand. But, we went down, because we were living in Citrus County at the time. We went back to Pinellas County to visit the family on Christmas Eve. And my family at the time had a tradition of a gift exchange on Christmas Eve where everyone gave somebody a present and everyone got to open one present from home. And my gift exchange gift for me, given to me, well, not gift exchange, but my early Christmas present was Pokemon Blue version. And you bet your ass that I played that thing all the way back on the 2-hour ride back up to Citrus County. Or at least as well as I could, because this is the original Game Boy, which didn't have a backlight, and we didn't really have a light for it yet. So I played as well as I could by the street lights. And by this point, I knew something about Pokemon. I had seen a single episode, because we'd come down, again, back to Pinellas for a hurricane, because we lived in a trailer up in Citrus County, and trailers are not hurricane-proof. So we came to visit with family, and while we were there, they had Channel 4, which I think was still UPN at the time. I don't know what it is now. Which, despite having 800 channels on our satellite dish, was a channel we never had up there for some stupid reason. So for the first time ever, I got to see a peek of the Pokemon anime. And the episode I saw was Electric Shock Showdown, where Ash and Pikachu fought Lieutenant Surge. So I knew about Pikachu, and I knew about Raichu. I knew about the concept of Thunder Badge. I didn't realize it was one of a badge, because he referred to it as though it was a thing you collected, you know? So that was literally all I knew about Pokemon. So I'm looking through my starters, I'm like, well, there's no Pikachu here, and I settled, well, if I gotta pick one of these stupid-looking things, I'm gonna go with the fire one, Charmander, and I named him Sparky. And I was young and stupid, and the games were new, and the internet didn't really exist as it does today, and I didn't really have strategy guides yet, and things like IVs and EVs, and it just, that stuff didn't exist as we knew it. So I was an idiot, and it wasn't until much later that I got good at the game. I pretty much exclusively trained Sparky. I would catch Pokemon. I caught all sorts of Pokemon, and back then, they didn't have a little Pokeball next to their name to show, hey, you have this already. So I'd just catch something because I'd forget that I had it, and I'd have like 7 Bellsprouts, and 4 Rattatas, and Eradicate, and etc., you know. But I wouldn't use them because I had Sparky. Sparky was all I needed. Sparky Yes, by the way, I blitzed Brock's gym with a freaking Charmander. Deal with it. You know? And this is back before Metal Claw was a thing. I embered all his Pokemon to death. And what a death it was. But Sparky was pretty much my exclusive thing. If he fainted, I was done. And the only real challenge he ever faced was a certain Cerulean City gym leader, a little red-headed girl by the name of Misty, and her fucking Starmie that bubble beamed the crap out of me. I went in with a Charmeleon, and I left with a Charizard. Sparky had been friggin' christened in the blood of a fallen Starmie. It took me... He was probably level 40 by the time I left Cerulean City. And as you can well imagine, he just steamrolled the rest of the game. But of course, I was young and stupid and didn't understand how HMs worked, that you couldn't erase them. So Sparky knew Cut, and Fire Blast, and Strength, and Fire Spin, which you may recognize are not necessarily a good move pool. He also tended to run out of PP, so as backup when I took on the Elite Four, Sparky took on all but Lance and the final rival on his own, with just a little help from my recent capture of Articuno, which I used my Master Ball on because I didn't know any better. Now, sorry. Blech. My Pokemon Blue version is long since gone and Sparky with it. And that's a tragedy. If I had a time machine, I'd go back and I'd rescue Sparky. Somehow. I don't know how, because his battery pack would fade and him with it. But Sparky is long since gone, but he was my first. And he was powerful. Sparky, aside from Misty, Sparky never failed me. He never fainted in battle, except to Misty. And the only time he ever came up short, again, was my fault as a trainer for teaching him shitty moves with no PP to them. But Sparky was a beast, and he carried me through all of Pokemon Blue, which was my first ever Pokemon game. So for that, Sparky deserves a spot in my top 5 best Pokemon. Now, let's move on. This is Razor, my Scizor. Pokemon Silver. It took me forever to get Pokemon Silver. But eventually I finally hopped on the bandwagon about 2 years after it came out. And I don't remember much about it. I remember I had a Togetic that was pretty good. But nothing really to write home about. It was basically all TM moves because Togetic didn't learn crap for offense back then. But I had a Scyther that I eventually evolved into a Scizor, and I named her Razor. She was a female, obviously. And she was good with Fury Cutter and False Swipe and Slash and all the fun crap that Scizors do. And I think I taught her Metal Claw and maybe Steel Wing. I don't remember if that was possible back then. But Scizor, Scyther, Razor was a beast. And I literally remember 2 Pokemon from back then. And Razor's one of them. The other's my Togetic, but if you friggin' put a gun to my head, I couldn't remember anything about the Togetic except for the fact that I used one. But Razor I can tell you about. Razor is the only Pokemon from Silver that I gave half a crap about, and again, if I could bring her back, I would. Even though she and Sparky both, none of the Pokemon on this list, with one exception, is really what I would consider competitive. But I'd bring them back just so I'd have them forever, you know? I don't really remember much about Silver, so we're just going to leave it at that, and we're going to move on to Pokemon number 3. From Gen 3. My Manectric, Electivang. Now, again, this is Pokemon Sapphire. I could not, for the life of me, tell you what my starter was. Could have been a Trico, could have been a Torchic, could have been a Mudkip. It just didn't leave a lasting impression on me. What did, though, was my Electrike that I captured. And gradually... Now, this is something any Pokemon trainer can tell you, that electric types have a high tendency to take over your party because very few things resist them and only one thing hurts them. They're not the most powerful thing around, but they're very versatile, and they hit pretty hard, and that's how Electivang got to be. So... Quick, get out of bed. Speaking of my critters, my kitty cat's messing around and stuff. He wants fed, even though it's not time yet. It's almost time, though. But Electivang, yeah, he he became my go-to Pokemon. He was a hasty nature, and he topped out at just over 300 speed. And my cousin used to love her Blaziken, like, oh, if I hit you with Hyper Beam, you're done, etc. And I told her, yeah, but that's the problem, is you're never going to get that hit. So we had a battle, her and Electifang blitzed her. I think I hit her with Spark, probably, and just wrecked her in one shot. I'm like, yeah. I told her that if you hit me, yes, Electifang would die. But he's so fast, you never will. And of course, this is back before Blaziken really had speed boost. But you're probably thinking, oh, well, Kyrix, he sounds like a great Pokemon. Why is he so special? I'll tell you why. This is the first Pokemon I ever legitimately leveled to 100. And that means no cheat codes, no infinite rare candy bullshit. This was just me grinding in Victory Road, raising other Pokemon, getting him to 100. And that's why he deserves to be on the list. Now next is another special Pokemon. This is one that you on YouTube will actually know. I want you to meet my little buddy, Godzilla. This is my little friend from Stars Challenge. The little Larvitar that is the reason that my avatar is a Larvitar. This here is the other half of Team Larvitar from Stars Ruby Challenge, Ruby Sapphire Challenge. Now, I'm going to keep this short and sweet because if you want to see why he's so special, just go back and watch my Stars Challenge videos. But this little guy was kind of a hard mode battle for me because Larvitar and Pupitar aren't exactly top tier powerhouses, you know? Especially in a game like Sapphire where there's so many water types floating around, and May in particular. With, I think she had a Trico, but either way. Once he finally became a Tyranitar and became Godzilla for real. Well, he wasn't Godzilla until the end of the game, but once he became a Tyranitar, nothing ever stopped him again. And you can go back and watch my videos. Once he hit Tyranitar, he never lost a fight. And that's what I'd been counting on to carry me through the challenge. Was the idea that, yes, as Larvitar and Pupitar, I'm going to have an uphill struggle, but if I ever hit Tyranitar, that's game. And you know what? That's what it was. Sadly, of the people who finished, I came in dead last, but not for lack of trying. And honestly, part of it was because I refused to take some of the perks that were allowed to me. Like, if I kept losing to a gym, I was allowed to do extra training. Or do my training beforehand, and I never took that. I friggin' bulldozed my way through the game. And if I had to fight the same gym leader on screen 5 times, then damn it, I fought the same gym leader on screen 5 times. I didn't take a break like, oh, let me get my off-screen levels. No. I fought it legitimately. And you know what? I paid for it, but I'm fine paying that price. I earned what I had. Not that I'm saying that Henri, Star, and Kyler didn't, but like I said. Plus, there was my habit of going to the trick house to get special items for him, which, to be honest, I probably could have done off screen. And that would have caught me and tied me with Henri, but alright, let's get to the final entry on this list, with an honorable mention to my Talonflame Flitter. I'll go over her before I show you the final Pokemon. I have a Talonflame on my Pokemon Y that I named Flitter. She was the very first Pokemon I caught as a fletchling? Yes, fletchling. I haven't trained her to be competitive. She doesn't really battle. She's notable for being my flyer, and in a very real sense, the surrogate mother of every Pokemon I own. Because she has Flame Body, and it's her job to hatch all the eggs. When I do my numerous Pokemon breedings, my party consists of Flitter and 5 eggs, and I just wander around the tower in Lumio City until they all hatch. So she becomes important for basically being the surrogate mother of every Pokemon I own on Y now. So, let's get to the final list. My girls. Marley, my Mawile. and her daughter, Molly, who is officially my Mega Mawile. Now, if you've ever heard me talk, Mawile is a favorite of mine. I love her design. And yes, I know they can be male. Screw it. I'm considering it a female because that just strikes me as a female creature. But I've loved the design of Mawile. The only reason I never really used them in the previous gens is because I like them to have a stab move. And Mawile didn't have any steel-type moves. But come Generation 6, come Pokemon Y, she has two. She has two stab moves. She has Iron Head and Play Rough. One for Steel, one for Fairy. And when I finally caught a Mawile and raised her high enough to know both of those moves, she started off as being my false swiper. You know, oh, I'm going to put you in the head of the party so I can capture Pokemon. And being at the head of the party took its toll. She gained more XP and got stronger and stronger and stronger and shoved the rest of my Pokemon in the back. Like my Delphox, who was my starter, got pushed to the point where he wasn't even fighting anymore, you know? And Marley just kept beating the crap out of everything until she effectively took on the Elite Four by herself. And Marley became notable for being the second Pokemon I ever legitimately leveled to 100. But then I started doing competitive, and unfortunately I think she had a serious nature, which no real benefits, no real penalties. But I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to do competitive, I need something. I need a really competitively bred Mawile, and that leads me to Molly, my adamant Mawile. And anyone who's ever faced her online knows Molly's a beast. She will tear chunks out of you. And the day is coming soon when I will breed a 5 IV Mawile and just tear up with it. But for now, these are my girls. And I still use them both. Molly is the face of my party when I do online battles, although my Hawlucha has recently been my center stager. And Marley, like Flitter, her job, Flitter hatches the babies and Marley raises them. I put her in the lead in Victory Road, and she just sweeps everything so that all the little hatchlings can level up. So, yeah. Those are the top 5, well, technically 6, Pokemon who are just most special to me right now. With, again, an honorable mention to Flitter. Bit of an emotional list. Trips down memory lane for me. And, I hope you learned something about my Pokemon experience, and I hope maybe you'll make videos of your own talking about your own special Pokemon. But for now, this is Kyrix, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.